In today's tutorial, let's do the easy ponchos to crochet. This is from 2 to 4 years of age and 6 to 8, but I'm also going to show you how to change the size too. Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd as well as yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to work on the easy poncho, and I know it doesn't look like a poncho right now because I've been doing the work behind the scenes, and this is a really fabulous stitch. So in the pattern it calls for Bernat Handicrafter these smaller balls in order to do, and this is very similar to the Lily Sugar and Cream. So if you don't have access to Bernat Handicrafter, you can always use Lily Sugar and Cream. So I have decided to substitute my yarn today to something different using the same size hook of 5mm size H. So let me put that aside, and what I decided to use is a brand new yarn line called Karen Simply Soft Stripes. So this has a longer striping variegation to it. So do you see the color here of the purple? It goes all that way before it changes, so it's not like it's a very quick subtle change. It is like longer and then it changes, and then you can see that here. I then substituted then using white in between, and I'm going to show you how I did this. This stitching, when you look at the pattern itself, you don't physically see the stitching very clearly, but I have to say it is really quite lovely to work with. I was actually quite happy with how fast it worked up, and it's got some interesting three-dimensional kind of like texture to it, and it's fabulous on the front or back side. So let's begin today. Let me take you through the pattern first, and then we're going to then go into it even further. So let's take a closer look at this pattern here, and there's a consistency of this, and I decided to do 2 colors instead of 3, and you could also do a solid color if you wish. There's some texture to it, so a solid color would even be nice, and one of the children are wearing a solid color look as well. So once you get beyond the first step here, there's going to be 7 rows complete. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it repeats itself, and then we go back from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you keep doing that to create the layers that you see. Now because I use the striping, it actually looks a lot more complex than it really is, but if you can see that there's really 6 rows that continually repeat each other, it becomes really cool. Now what you're seeing here on the screen is the 2 to 4 years of size, but there is also 6 to 8. But what if you have a child in between, and what can you do even if you want to make it for yourself as an adult? So what if you want to make this bigger? So if you have a bigger size child, or if you want to do an adult size, the secret to the multiples of this is 3 plus 2. So if you go 1, 2, 3, if you're chaining 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, you keep doing that. Once you're satisfied with the length of your chain, just add 2 more chains, so that's multiples of 3 plus 2. So therefore you can make it any size that you wish, and then you're just repeating these rows anyway from 2 to 6 once you get started. So 2 to 6, 2 to 6, 2 to 6, and you can get to what you need to do for the height. Now what changes for the yarn quantity, I'm going to leave that to you. I don't know what the answer is because the pattern is written for 2 to 4 years of age and 6 to 8, but that's just a great solution. So let me take you through a little bit about putting this together, and then we're going to dive right into the stitch work itself, and then we're going to do the final on this. So because I've had to do it in advance, I can show you the complete on how to do this entire poncho. So here's the written instructions, and it's really quite simple. It's just 1 page, and you can see that we're going to make 2 rectangular panels. So you're going to do 1 and then 2. Once you get that done, you're going to sew 1 together just like you see here, and then this edge is going to then go to this edge here, and what is left right in the middle is the neck hole that you see that the children are popping their heads through. So you can see if you look really carefully at the front is that one of the panels is coming down on an angle, just like you see here, and then the other side it will be on an angle on the back side of this as well. We're then going to do some neck trimming and then a final border, and then there's also a tie at the top if you wish to do that, and it's actually quite easy. So I marked on my sheet so what I need to do, and you're gonna see going from rows 1 through 7, and it says repeat 2nd to 7th rows for the pattern. This doesn't mean that you're going to repeat it this time and then it says work another further 21 rows or 27 in the pattern. This here is telling you what you need to repeat, but it's not included in this count of here. So what I did for myself is that I created a little mini working sheet. Let me show you a closer up of this. So in my working sheet I have rows 1, this is where I'm going to start, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we have to repeat the pattern. And it's set for the 2 to 4 years that we repeat so that there's an additional 21 rows. Well, there's more than 21 here, but I wanted to keep it even in balance. So I did that all the way. So if you want to just look at this, take a screenshot and then print it, you can do so. Now is the time to do it. I'll keep my hands out of the way as much as possible. And then what you have to do is you have to repeat 2 all the way to 7 again. Then again, then again, and then again, and this size of 2 to 4 years of age is done. That's your panel done. So then for the 6 to 8 years of size, you have to repeat one more time. So that's why it's got here. So you'll notice that my colors, white stripes, white stripes. So the first one is stripes to begin, and then in rows number 2 through 3 it's always going to be white. Rows number 4 is going to be stripes. Rows 5 and 6 are white, and then the final is stripes. So you can make your own colorways if you wish. This is how I did it for myself. There's actually calling for 3 colors in this particular poncho. You can look at the pattern if you wish, but I decided to go for 2. Again, it's your creativity. Don't let that ever stop you from being outside of the box and making up the rules as you go along. So let's take a look at the stitches now, and let's begin. You'll realize this is quite simpler than you may realize. So let's begin with the slip knot, and I am gonna do a changing of size. I'm just gonna make a small swatch, but if you're gonna do the 2 to 4 years of age, you want to chain 84, and if you want to do the 6 to 8 years, you got to chain 90. So that's your secret there. But if you want to change the size to anything else, remember it's in multiples of 3 plus 2. So I'm just gonna do that for a small swatch. So I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So say that I'm satisfied with the length. If you're not satisfied, keep on going, and once you're satisfied, just add 2 right now, and you're gonna keep your yarn there, and we're gonna move on to row number 1. So row number 1 is just a straight half double crochet across your chain, so you have to go to the 3rd chain. So just go 1, 2, and 3, just count it, turn it over, get the back loop only, wrap the hook, and going into the chain. So you're just gonna do that, and you're just gonna pull through all 3 loops to create a half double crochet. So moving down your chain, you just want to continue to do half double crochet all the way to the very end. So please do that now, and I'll see you back in just a moment. So I've now crocheted to the end of here, and now we're gonna do a color change. So if you noticed on my sheet, number 2 and 3 rows are going to be white. So I'm just trimming my work, and what I want to do is that I want to fasten this in. So I'm just gonna pull it through the final loop, and instead of just having lazy loose ends, I'm just gonna weave that tail in and out of some of these stitches now for about 1 inch or 2. And you want to do that because a child's gonna be wearing this thing, so you want to really hide in your tails as you go, and then trap them into position as you go, just like that. Okay, so let's move on to row number 2. So let's turn our work. I'm not gonna trim this out yet, and I'm gonna wait. So let's go on to number 2. So let's move on to row number 2, just grabbing my next color, and I want to attach it to the end of the top of the first stitch. I'm just gonna insert in, and I just want to wrap the yarn that's going to the ball and pull through just to join it. And now we're going to begin row number 2. So this will be the same every time you do row number 2. You're going to chain 1, and then you're going to single crochet into the same one that you just joined with. Okay, so here's this one. So rows 2 and 3 are very similar to each other. It's what's creating the texture in this thing. So what you want to do is that you want to chain 2, 1 and 2, coming into the exact same stitch, you want to double crochet. Yep, that's all it is. So then I'm trapping this work as I go, so I want to skip 2 stitches, so 1 and 2, go to the 3rd, and I want to single crochet. That's the repeat pattern all the way across. So here we go again. So chain 2 into the same stitch as that single crochet, advance 2 more, and go to the 3rd and single crochet. And you're gonna do that all the way across the line. So chain 2 into the same one and advance. So when you get to the very end of your row, what you're gonna do is that you're gonna be left with these stitches left over. So you're just gonna chain 2, a single crochet like so, and in the very last one you'll just apply a single crochet, and that's it for row number 2. So let's show you row number 3. You're not gonna change your colors at this time. So number 3, you're going to turn your work now and you're going to do pretty much what you just did. So let's begin again. So we're going to chain up 1, single crochet into the first one, chain 2, 1 and 2, and into the very same one you're going to double crochet. So this one here, what we have to do is see where you have the other single crochet that's in there. So you see how it's leaning over. This is to double, this is to chain 2, this is single. You want to single into the single, and that makes it overlap each other. So chain 2, double into the same one, okay, then advance to the next single crochet that you run into. It's on the other side there, and just single crochet, chain 2, double into the same one, and keep on going like that. So just advance to the next single, and then when you get to the end, which I'm about to, so chain 2, you want to double into the same one, and then finally you're just going to single crochet into the final single crochet once you get all the way to the end. That's it for this color. So I'm gonna just trim this off now. This is row number 3, and I'm just gonna weave in my ends as I go, and then I'm going to begin row number 4, and the 4 is bringing back the purple color. In my case, what was it, the stripes are representing the purple in my particular example, if you're following and using that yarn. Okay, so these ones here are buried, so I'm gonna just trim those out of the way, get those out. Let's clean this up, and I'm gonna use a darning needle to hide this last one in at the very end of the project anyway. So let's turn our work and move up to row number 4. So let's create a slip knot and move up to row number 4. So I'm bringing back purple, and purple is only back for 1 row and then it's gone again. So what we want to do is that we want to go in the first single crochet to join. So just going with to the ball, the yarn going to the ball, just wrap that so it's joining, and chaining 2, and that does not count as a half double crochet in this particular example, and so back into the same one you're going to half double crochet. So that's pretty typical for half double crochet. This row is really easy. So these are the chain 2 spaces that we advanced, and this is the double crochet that was lying on its side. So in this chain 2 space you want to apply 2 half double crochets right into that space itself. Then the next stitch is that single crochet. So if you were doing repeating of this last row, that's a single crochet, and you're just gonna half double into that one. So this is really easy. So here's the chain 2 space. You're gonna apply 2 half doubles into that same space. Okay, the next one is a single crochet. Just put a half in there, and then keep advancing all the way down to the end. It's that easy. So because the way it's grabbing it, it creates texture on the other side that you'll see. And then single crochet into the next one, and then you're coming to the very end. So don't get confused. You still have a chain 2 space to play with. So just 2 halves into the chain 2, and then a half double crochet into the final single crochet, and purple is yet done once again. So let's trim that off. You know, when you have bigger examples of the bigger squares, you don't change yarn as often as I'm doing in the tutorial. Well, for time wise, no, but for these particular examples you don't change color. Like, you don't feel like you're always changing because you have to work your way back and forth. I think the color changes are what make this particular poncho really quite nice. So I'm just weaving in, getting rid of my tails, and moving on to row number 5. So let's begin row number 5. So I'm just going to just get where I was, and this is the last half double crochet in the single, and we want to attach our yarn here. Now rows 5 and 6 are both identical to each other. They're just single crochets back and forth. So just attach it, chain 1 and 1 single into that top of that first half double crochet. So you can see that you got 2 half doubles in a row. So all you're just gonna do on this row number 5 is just you're applying single crochets into each of the half doubles. Now what you have to watch out for is the very end of this row. Remember that we chained 2, which did not count as a half double crochet, and then you put in a half double crochet into that same space. So it has the illusion that there's 2 stitches into the final, but you just gotta ignore that vision and just see it. So do you see how it looks like there's 2? There's only 1. One is the chain 2 and one is the real half double crochet. It works out, so you just gotta watch for that. So just right on the top of the last one here, it's single like this. So let's turn our work and do row number 6. Row number 6, keeping the same color, chain 1 and 1 single into each of the singles. That's it for row number 6. So I'm just gonna blaze my way across, and then row number 7 is your next, and then you start repeating your pattern again from row number 2 all the way to 7, over and over and over until you get to the size. And I provided that sheet already so that you can know how many times to do it, but it also says it on the pattern. I have improvised my sheet a little bit to finish off on row number 7 when I go to do your panels. Again, that's your creativity, it's your call. So here's the end of row number 6. It's single crochets, and now I'm gonna finish my color and bring back purple once again, and I'm gonna weave in my ends like so. Once you get into the swing of this pattern, it really is no big deal. I actually did the entire poncho panels all in one evening. It really did not take long. So let's turn our work and go for purple once again. And the purple, guess what it is? If you looked at the pattern, you're cheating already. If not, it's okay too. So right in the beginning, single crochet, you're going to join. And so row number 7, all it is, it's a half double crochet. So chain up 2. So this time on this particular pattern, this chain 2 does count as a half double crochet on this row, and so you're just gonna half double crochet into each single crochet all the way down. That's it. That's all there is to this. So now you're just gonna have to repeat rows 2 through 7 all over again. So do you remember what 2 through 7 is? Well, if you look at this pink here, remember that fancy stitch work of single crochet, chain 2, single then a double into the same? You're just gonna do that over again and start exactly where I showed you. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna move on in this tutorial, and I'm gonna leave the panels for you to be able to do, and then you're gonna have a few hours of work ahead of you, and then you can come back here and I'm gonna show you how to put them together and then how to finish it off with the necking and the outside trim as well. So once you get a row done, just remember, get rid of these loose ends. Remember, a child is wearing it. If it feels more comfortable for you to put in with a darning needle to hide the ends, again, that's completely up to you. So I'll see you back when you have your panels done, and that's where I'm gonna move on in the next part. So let's move forward in this tutorial, and you're gonna have your 2 panels done, and I've already taken care of all my loose ends. Everything is hidden, everything is gone. So what I want to do is that you're gonna notice right in the very beginning that the starting row here looks a bit different than the final row number 7. You'll see that it's more bumpy, and because of that difference you want to pay attention to where that is. So what we have to do is that we have to put together the poncho in 2 pieces and to make one piece. So we're just gonna line it up here, and we're just gonna line it up here, and then we're going to sew this side together. So all I'm just gonna do now is that I'm gonna use a complementary yarn that is pretty much hidden, and I want to whip stitch the things together. So what I want to do is that I want to kind of look at it here, so I'm gonna lay it out just like so. So this one's straight out and back, and I'm matching it to what the pattern is showing me. I'm looking at this edge here. This is the starting edge, and I'm going to place it down like this. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna use extra yarn right now, and I'm going to just tie these together in order to hold it, and then I'm gonna come with a whip stitch and just whip it everything together, and I'll show you how to do that. So let me show you how I'm gonna tie it first, and all I'm just gonna do is just grab some spare yarn. Chances are you have that lying around your house, and I just want to go in the one side of this and in the other, and I want to tie it. So I'm just going to just put it together with a bow tie. Again, this is just for holding it for you, so that you, once you start manipulating this stuff, it sometimes gets tough. You can also just go like that if you wish, and then just kind of laying it out like this. Okay, you just want to make sure it's not overstretched, and just coming in where you think it matches, and you're just going to put that together over there. So once it's together like this, all you're just going to do now is that you can whip stitch along the edge just like so. So you want to choose a color that's going to be pretty good. I'm going to show you how to whip stitch here, and all you just want to do is just kind of line it up. Don't make anything stretch really weird on this, and grab your darning needle, and let's grab some white yarn. I'm going to use white in this case, and I'm just going to whip stitch things together. To whip stitch, I've already cut my white strand, and I'm going to create a slip knot on the one side, and I'm going to grab my darning needle and put the other side through the eye of the needle. I like doing it like this because I get paranoid things are gonna fall out, so I like slip stitching as much as I can. Let me see if I can do that better while I'm chatting with you. And just a matter of just, you know, you gotta figure out what's right for you. Sometimes I get paranoid when I really have no reason to be paranoid. So okay, so what I wanna do is I wanna start off on the one side, so the purple, and I'm coming to the other side straight across. I'm ignoring that tie, it's just holding it together, and I just want to pull it through. Now the eye of this, I want to put the needle through, and then that will lock it into position, just like that. So what I want to do is kind of just go down the side and just kind of line it up as it's going across. Now this strand here, I want to lay it down on top so it gets stuck underneath of this as I go. Therefore it's less work to do at the end, and if you're not comfortable with that, you can use a darning needle and hide that as well. So just going straight across, this is just a whip stitch. So once you go across, just bounce back on the other side, just trying to make sure that it looks as even as possible. So I'm gonna leave the rest of the whip stitching to you on this side, and then we'll review on how to sew the other side, on how you need to manipulate the project, because that side it's hard to show that in a visualization. Sorry, I just bounced my head off the camera. And I'll see you in a second where I'm gonna show you how to finish this off. When you get to the end, I've already removed my stitch marker that was holding it so I could get a nice clean shot in there, and all I'm just gonna do is just tie this into a knot right into the end. Okay, so I can hold it. Now the secret to things not falling out is to go in and out of things 3 times. So if you just glide in along underneath the fibers, not on the other side, but just glide in amongst the fibers. If you go once across, and then come back in a different set of fibers but really close to it, go 2 and 3, this should never fall out on you. So because I had you do a slip knot on the other side up here, and I had you bury it in as you went, that will never fall out on you as well. So now what we have to do is that we have to start fresh again, and we have to apply another seam. So what we have to do is that this edge up here has to attach to this side here. Okay, so it has to attach along here. So it's kind of a really weird bend. Okay, so what's gonna leave you is a hole, and this hole here will be the child. So what you want to do is now grab more spare yarn. You can use the same pieces if you did. I kind of threw mine out already. So I want to just come into the side here and just match it and just tie them together. Now this has got a weird bend on it, so it's not always easy at just lying it down, so you gotta kind of look at it, eye it up, and make a really good decision. It's not hard, it's just sometimes hard to visualize. So let's just tie that. Okay, and now all I gotta do is that I gotta lie it out so it doesn't appear stretched, but it appears to be matching. So I'm just lying it up here, and that's where I think it is, right here. So I want to join to about there. So before you commit to sewing it, what I would recommend is just stand by for a second. So I'm just gonna tie this, and you will see that this poncho is would actually work out okay. So that's what it would look like then on the front of the child. Okay, so there is the neck hole right here in the top, and then here's the cross coming down. And if you look at it, so from the other side, you're gonna see the seam line right here. And this would be along the back. So I'd probably leave it folded if I were you. Just don't sew the other side of it. And again, just whip stitch along here, just like I showed you. So please do that, and I'll see you back here in a moment, and we'll move on to doing the rest of the finishing. Okay, so at this point I have my seams done, and you can see this is what it looks like here. It looks like it's gonna buckle. That's just because of the way that it's folded in order to create the hole for the head. So what I'm gonna do now is that I'm gonna turn this in a way, which I already have, that it looks like it's a nice seam line here, and you know, this is actually pretty cool. So I had you do it so that the outside edge was out here. Do you see that there? And you see it here as well. So let's do round number 1. We're gonna start on the bottom edge first, and there's 2 rounds all together. I'm gonna use stripes because I might as well keep it so I can get the color of the stripes along here, so then it looks consistent all the way around. So all I'm just gonna do then is just attach it to one corner here, and I'm just going to single crochet evenly all the way around. So when I have stitches to play with, I just have to do it. So I have to go in, attach it, chain 1, single crochet into the first, and I'm just gonna keep moving along the edge. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm just gonna keep moving along the edge. So I'll come up and I'll come back, and so it's pretty easy to work with. You just got to go all the way around. So you're just gonna follow it and come back up the other side and then back here and be finished. And then you'll start on row number 2, and row number 2 is exactly what you did with that fancy stitch work of single crochet, chain 2, and double into the same one. We're gonna do that as the final. So just single crochet all the way around. So I'm coming up near to the end and I'm on the final corner. There's no special things in the corner at all, like there's no extra chains or anything. It's just a matter of just single crocheting all the way around, and this is it. So what I want to do is I want to finish off the stripes color, and I want to bring back the white color as my final. So the white stitches that you saw here was the that fancy footwork of single crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So what I want to do is I want to finish off the final round, and it's just a matter of just following each of the stitches going all the way around. There's nothing fancy happening on the corners. It'll automatically turn for you. So let's begin again, and I'm gonna grab my white back. I know it's gonna be hard to see here because I have a white background. So I'm just gonna start up in the corner with a slip knot, and it's just like what you already did with the white. So just starting right in the corner, just join it. Okay, and then I want to single crochet into the same one. So I chain 1, single crochet in the same one, chain 2, and then double into the same one. So I'm just gonna advance like I did before. So go 1, 2, go to the third, single crochet. See how I'm burying that in at the same time? So chain 2 and then double into the same. And I want you to do that all the way around. You don't need to worry about any corners. You just keep following that same idea going all the way around, and then that'll conclude the outside trim of the base, and then we're gonna move to the neck after that. So I'll see you back here in just a moment. Let me get this done first. So I'm coming up near to the end of my revolution, and you know what, there wasn't really a stitch count or anything in order to make this final row. So you know what, you're gonna have to use your own creativity at this point. If you were off by a certain stitch, sometimes you just gotta fake it or make it. I would not frog out your entire project in order to do your border. So what I would recommend is remember that the multiples of counts were in 3s. So chances are if you're off, you're only gonna be off by either 1 or 2. So that's really not a deal breaker. So it breaks my heart when people rip out stuff because they just want it to be absolutely perfect. Well, in my world nothing is ever perfect. So I'm just continuing all the way to the corner, and remember that there was no special things to be done in the corner, and it actually, I thought it was gonna buckle up, but it didn't. So the designer has done a great job with that in order to make it work. So I'm using my white to finish this off. Again, colors are really quite subjective to you. I really like the color scheme of this particular poncho actually. I think the Simply Soft stripes really made it pop. So I'm continuing along, and if I'm right on, I'd be shocked, and if not, I would not be surprised. So there you go. So there you go. So I technically have just like 1 stitch left over, so I'm just gonna fake it. So I'm just gonna do that, and I'm just going to join it then to the beginning as I did. So just do that, and then just use a darning needle to weave in your last edge. We're gonna move up to the neck now, and see, it looks great. So even though you faked it, it still looks fabulous. So just use a darning needle, just hide in those loose ends, and then we're gonna move up to the neck in the next part. So let's move up to the neck. So you're gonna have what's called, it looks like a V, just like here, right in the top. We're gonna start right in the V, and we're just going to grab my stripes. I'm gonna use that for 1 revolution, and then the 2, the second revolution is actually really quite easy to do. So let's begin, and we're just going to go right into the center and just join it, chain 1 and 1 single crochet. So all I just want to do is trace this edge all the way back with just 1 single crochet into each of the stitches all the way around. I'm hiding in my loose end as I go right now. You see that? I'm burying it in. So please do that, and I'll see you back here, and we'll do row number 2 together. So as I come all the way back around, I just want to slip stitch to the top of the beginning single crochet. Now for the neck area, I'm not going to change the color in the final round, and it's just very simple. It's chain it 3 and then 1 double crochet into each of the stitches going all the way around. So please do that. This is the final round. I want you to slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain 3 when you get there, and then we're gonna just quickly review on how to do the tie that is weaving in and out of the stitches here. I decided to leave it the stripes. I love the color. I think it'd be kind of fun at the top. So I'll see you here in just a moment. So as you come all the way back around, just slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain 3. Just like that, and we're gonna then review how to do the tie. Again, the tie is up to you. If you don't feel safe using a tie on the child's project, that's your business. Do what makes you most feel comfortable with, but you know, that is a personal decision, and as long as you secure it nicely and you have some trust in the child as well, then go for it. So let's begin. I'm just going to weave in the final edge here. So the tie is a different size for the different sizes that we have. So 2 to 4 years of age, it is 36 inches, and then the other size 6 to 8 is 40 inches. So all we're just gonna do is this. I'm gonna use the exact same color, and I want to just grab my my strand. Let's get that out of the way. Grab my strand and a tape measure. I'm just gonna leave extra at the end, and all I'm just gonna do is keep chaining until I get 36 inches for the size that I'm working on. So please do that now, and I'm not counting. I'm just gonna use a tape measure to measure 36 inches. So once you get your 36 inches done, just right at the end, just trim your work and just pull that strand through that final loop, and that will lock that into position. So when I measured my 36 inches, I did not like seriously stretch this. I just kept it nice and relaxed and sitting down like so. So let's grab up our project once again, and let me show you how to put it in. So looking at the good side of the project, what we want to do is that we want to use the very center piece here, and we're gonna have the yarn strand come out of the center. So just pull this chain through. Don't pull through too much of it at this point. Actually, you know what? Yeah, pull a lot of it through. So what I would do is at every 2, I would just pop it back out the other side. So just come out this side here, and then just kind of pull it more that you need. So here's another 2. Just go back to the other side. Use a crochet hook if it makes it easier for you, just to be able to grab onto it. And then go every other 2. If you wish to skip even more than that, again, that's a personal choice. That's up to you. And if you want to go every other one, that's again up to you. So I'm continuing to move it along like so, and all I just want to do is come all the way around, and when I come around, then I'm just gonna pop out the other side here, and then these will be draping right in front. So let me get that done. So I've just woven it in and out of the collar just like so, and I have them, and I never usually put the strands at the same length, but if you prefer that, just do it. That's up to you. It's your creativity, and you can just kind of work things out, and it will even up on you, and just keep doing it. So if you are concerned about the child taking that tie out, what I would do is I would throw a stitch in somewhere along here, but don't impact the distance. So if they're actually going to use the tie to pull it tighter, just make sure that you set it before you sew it, run right here, and then this will never fall out. So that's again a personal creativity. So right at the end, I left an extra long strand. I'm just going to pull on it tight. See, it locks it, and I'm just gonna trim it down a little bit nicer, and then I'm going to do the other side. Just yank on it and just trim it like so, and all I'm just going to do then is just tie a bow tie here, and I'm not going to overly tie it at the top. It's really, this chain is really kind of meant to keep the double crochet from overstretching anyway, and so then when a child is wearing it, then that chain will hold it nicely steady on their shoulders. So this is how you do the Easy Poncho. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I've actually really enjoyed this project. It's the first time I've ever made anything like this, and it looks great, and this is really kind of a fun project. So until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of the Crochet Crowd as well as yarnspirations.com. Have a great day. We'll see you again soon. Bye bye.